Indonesian president come in just now. Joko Widodo, also known as Joko V.
His Excellency
has been serving as President of Indonesia since 2014. Comes from a humble background, in contrast to some of the other leaders of his country of late, who came from a political or military elite. Born in 1961 in Solo, in the center of Java, Widodo is the son of a wood seller.
And you know, in many of these countries, if you look at it, and you could pick pictures from the 1950s, Suharto with Jawaharlal Nehru, they were all individuals who had built their careers through their freedom movements of their respective countries. These are all post-independent, post their independence. These are the new generation leaders, whether it's Prime Minister Modi, the first Prime Minister born post-1947, or indeed someone like Joko Widodo, not part of the old Indonesian elites.
And he's also the chair of the ASEAN, which is why Prime Minister Modi was in Jakarta for the ASEAN summit. And some similarities there, son of someone who sold tea at a railway station. Here's the son of a woodcutter rising to be president of Indonesia. That's quite a story there, Shiv.
Incredible. And I think the body language between the Indian Prime Minister and the Indonesian leader was visible a couple of days ago at the ASEAN summit in Jakarta. So the Prime Minister and he will be meeting for the second time in 72 hours, which is incredible. Very, very important relationship. India takes it extremely seriously as far as the ASEAN is concerned, and that's been demonstrated in many of the Prime Minister's visits as well as on multilateral fora. So what's happening with Indonesia also, Rahul, as far as the military is concerned, India's relationship with Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines, vis-a-vis China has been extremely important. Much has been achieved over the last couple of years, not just under the aegis of the Malabar exercises, but also otherwise in terms of joint patrolling in the Indian Ocean region, the Malacca Strait, the South China Sea. These countries are playing a huge role, and let's also not forget that these are countries that are buying Indian military equipment for the first time. The Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia could be next. Big ticket defense deals.
Oh, that's the president of Brazil. In fact, he will be the one who will be hosting the G20 next. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, president of Brazil, 39th president of Brazil, sworn in January 2023. After being the 35th president from 2003 to 2010, he gained international praise for engaging with the world through Brazil's foreign policy. And also with left-wing leaders in the Pink Tide era returned. He was released from prison in 2019 after his convictions were overturned by the Supreme Court.
And you know, if you think that the world order has people only of one ideological...
He's looking around. You know, next humna hi karna hai, dekh lo kya karna hai. He's having a full look around.
But the fascinating thing about Lula is that in a world where, ideology...
His Excellency Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva,
the rise of sort of right-wing politics,
also
Lula is a remnant of the old order in a way. Started his life as a trade union worker, came through the trade union agitation, went through the ups and downs of politics, was imprisoned
after being Bolsonaro.
And then defeated Bolsonaro in an extremely
left versus right fight.
In an extremely contentious election.
Look at that Jappi, warm Jappi there. 3 taps on the shoulder. He's going to host the G20 next.
And every time you see a Brazilian president, from an Indian perspective, and given my sort of small links with Goa, you think of you see Portugal there, you see Brazil and India. That the links between these countries are very strong. I mean, Brazil has been very much again part of India's sphere of influence. Football, of course, is the great Brazilian export to the world. But Lula, I think, is a reminder that in this world order, while they're sitting around a table, you have, as you rightly said, a woodcutter's son. You have in Prime Minister Modi the son of someone who sold tea. You have in Lula a trade union worker most of his life. You'll have Joe Biden, who on the other hand, represents some would say the best of American capitalism. And you will have Rishi Sunak of Indian origin, who's a self-made politician who's come, transformed in a way the image of what a British Prime Minister would have looked like to Indian audiences. So I think you've got a wonderful eclectic collection of people around that table. I mean, it will be fascinating to just be a fly on the wall and just not just see their body language, but listen to the kind of conversations they have with each other.
Well, in a way, this is a new world taking shape.
That's right, it is.
The Premier of China.
China, the big one.
Watch out for the body language now.
His
as we
Excellency,
see how
Mr.
the
Li
Chinese
Qiang,
Premier is
Premier
actually
of
welcomed by
China.
Prime Minister Modi.
He's got a pleasant smile on his face as he's walking in.
You know, and he's a very trusted aide of the Chinese president, and he's no political lightweight. You know, make no mistake, while of course Xi Jinping has concentrated political power, Li Qiang has his own position.
And he is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the sort of economic sort of brain in China at the moment that he drives the sort of...
No, but he ran into trouble in Shanghai when he ran COVID policy. There are a lot of the lockdowns, the manner that they happened. So no jappi there, with good reason. You know, no jappi to China with good reason. Just a formal handshake, some pleasantries exchanged.
But he's been seen as the sort of driver of reform,
Dur se.
liberalization.
The body language, they're very revealing. Dur se, not wanting to get...
You should have had Gaurav Sawant at the moment. You could have had...
No, but all
Gaurav-
smiles.
Yeah, go ahead.
All smiles, a firm handshake, all smiles, little bit of distance. Obviously, no jappi possible over there. But I think there was some...
I mean, you can't
was-
not... He's come here.
Yeah,
He's
there
your
was
guest.
cordiality.
You don't need to be over-friendly.
There was, you know, just enough cordiality there. Remember, the fact that Xi Jinping hasn't come has been a dominant talking point in the run-up to what's happening today. It continues to be one today. By the way, if anyone has seen the Global Times headlines, they're still sniping from Beijing.
Is that, Mr. Dogra, the big disappointment? That the fact that the Chinese president is not here?
Well, in a way, I think it is good that he's not here because his scowling presence would have soured the atmosphere.
Correct.
Just now, it is, you know, as
You think it
all
would
of
have
you
taken a lot of the attention also away perhaps from the other positives that are coming out of the summit? We would have been excessively focusing on Xi and Modi instead of, you know, some of the
Xi
real
and Biden
achievements
as
like...
well.
You know,
Li Qiang used to be the Communist Party chief of Shanghai, has been in the Communist Party since 1983 at the age of 24 when he came in. He rose to party secretary in Wenzhou by the time he was 43. Ran into criticism, as I said, during the COVID in the manner in which Shanghai handled its COVID lockdowns. But he's been Xi's de facto chief of staff between 2004 and 2020. And he's had a very important role to play. And even when he was in Jakarta, seen as somebody who carries substantial weight in China, even though Xi Jinping is supreme, here is a man who has the president's trust.
But that role of China will be critical in the next 24 hours, right? Because between China and Russia, the role they take will decide how effective the Delhi Declaration is. Am I correct, broadly?
Absolutely, because if there's no declaration, that means China and Russia have had their way. If there is a declaration, China and
But
Russia
from what
will...
we are hearing from sources in the Ministry of External Affairs, China hasn't been unreasonable in their pushing forth their perspective, but in the last 48 hours, from what I pick up from sources in government, they don't think China has been unreasonable. And at this moment, Amitabh Kant, the Sherpa of the G20, quite confident that there will be a Delhi declaration which is very substantive, not just in form but in substance, a very substantive Delhi declaration expected tomorrow.
Because there have been mixed signals. Shiv just mentioned the kind of sort of statements coming through the Global Times. You know, with China, you never know.
That's a tabloid.
You know,
That's a pro-government tabloid.
Yeah, but that's what I said. With China, you never know. They're inscrutable. So you do not know what they will do next.
No, but they want to be a player on the multilateral
They
forum.
do,
remember?
but they would also, I think, they do not want, let's be honest, they do not want India to have
But
the
Rajdeep, the
sense
difference is
of having credit of conducting a successful
the difference
G20
is
summit.
that a lot of what India is pushing is the voice of the global south, a narrative for developing countries, and therefore China can't, beyond a point, on issues like the African Union, on issues of climate finance, sustainable development goals, be seen as being too much of an obstructionist.